Today we're going to be talking about electrolyte balance. I have a guest, her name is Claudia. Claudia, you're a nutritional therapist.
Yes, I'm a nutritional therapist. I'm registered with the Nutritional Therapy Council in the UK.
So Claudia, you're a nutritionist. Does that mean that you should tell us what we should eat and what we shouldn't eat?
Well, it's not as simple as that. What I'm looking at is not just what you eat, but what your food you eat is broken down into. So you may see your food as a steak or a salad. I'm interested in the component parts your body breaks the food down into to stay healthy and in balance.
So when you talk about balance, are you talking about the amount of calories that we eat versus that we burn off?
No, calories are important because they're a measure of energy used and consumed. But I'm looking at proteins, fats, sugars, salts, water, vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes, all of which we derive from the food we eat. Now, these need to stay in balance to be healthy, for us to be healthy.
Are fats, sugar and salt bad for us? Everywhere you read, you're meant to say we're not meant to eat them.
Fats, sugars and salt are vital for life, and a deficiency of any one of them can have serious consequences. The problem is with our modern diets, we have far too many fats, sugars and salt in proportion to, say, fruit and vegetables and fibre.
Earlier you mentioned electrolytes. Now I know that word, but I've never heard it in comparison to food before.
Well, electrolytes are the building blocks of our cells. We derive them from the foods we eat, so from the minerals, for example, sodium, potassium, chloride and bicarbonate. The most important thing about electrolytes is that they can conduct electricity. They interact with the water in our bodies to create an electrical charged ions, and these ions control cell behaviour.
What's cell behaviour?
Well, cell behaviour is incredibly complex. If we think about just the outer cell membrane, it's made up of gates, channels, switches and pumps, and these all control what goes into and out of the cells. Now, these switches, gates, channels and pumps are energised and made to work by the ions inside and outside of the cell. The cell is constantly fighting to get the ions it needs into the cell and to get rid of the ones it doesn't need. That's why electrolyte balancing is so important, to have the right ions in the right place at the right time.
So what happens, Claudia, if our body's out of balance?
Well, it depends which way it goes, but say we have too much sodium in our bodies, which is the most common imbalance, it can cause blockages in the water between the cells.
So what does that mean?
Well, water will be forced in the wrong direction, which can damage the tiny blood vessels that live in the same space as the water. These are known as capillaries. And when the capillaries are damaged, this can contribute to high blood pressure because there's less space for the blood to flow.
So Claudia, as a nutritionist, you're not just going to tell people about what food they shouldn't eat, but you look at their lifestyles in total?
That's right.
So give me an example of some changes that you would make.
Well, my own case is probably a good example. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure 15 years ago and told by the doctors that I would be on medication for the rest of my life. This didn't sit well, excuse me, so I decided to study the problem from a nutritional point of view. And I discovered about electrolyte balancing and found a product called ionextra, which corrects the balance of electrolytes if they're unbalanced.
So Claudia, give me an example.
It's a little capsule that's like an electrical messenger. Which sends out millions of minute electrical signals every second as it travels through the body, and it tells the cells to get their engines going and get rid of the excess salt. What it's done for me is it's fantastic. I'm so thrilled because I'm off my medication now. I'm free from my medication.
So it does work? It's worked for you?
It's worked for me. It's worked for me within 2 months. For some people it's 28 days, but it just depends how long it takes each individual's body to adjust.